Hi everybody, thank you so much for coming out today. A little bit of sunshine out there and inside here. As I'm pleased to introduce Danis Morgan, who is showing in the gallery until February 11th. And she's brought all kinds of wonderful things to show her technique and process. So I will turn it over to Danis.
Okay, thank you, Deborah, the Executive Director of Bainbridge Arts and Crafts. I want to thank all my friends that came today. And at the end of the talk, I invite you to come and look what I've set up. It's really a kind of a temple or shrine, things I've collected when I walk, plants from my garden, shells, all kinds of things that are really important to me and have a lot of meaning. So I wanted to start with a reading, and I'm reading The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. The reason we're alive is to express ourselves in the world, and creating art may be the most effective and beautiful method of doing so. Art goes beyond language, beyond lives. It's a universal way to send messages between each other and through time. All the work that is here for this exhibit, I painted primarily in the summer through fall, outside in my garden. The only piece I didn't do outside was this. This was the last piece I did in this collection of work. And I'm really excited about this piece because it's, I feel like all of this, you know, I'm on the verge of something new, and this is the glimpse of what I see is to come, in a way. So the works on paper that you see, those are encaustic monoprints. The others are encaustic paintings. And so what I brought today was my small table that I work on to make the monoprints, and it's heated, and I melt the wax on top, and I'm actually gonna show you how I would do a piece. Yeah, it's kind of like a little mini studio here today. But first, I just want to talk about like what inspires me and what I kind of like my daily life. I walk every day. I have dogs, and that has been a huge discipline in my life for a very long time. And so it's become this energy that I have to do every day. It's like you have to give the energy to receive it back. And so it's a way to connect with nature and to be quiet, mindful. I think the best thing would to be just show you part of my process. I'm gonna lay out one of these pieces that I did recently and show you how I would start. So I've drawn some images on my plate, and I work completely intuitively. I don't really know what will emerge, but once you start, things just unfold. And so the colors and everything, it just starts to happen. It's never planned, and because I put the paper down blind, I really have no idea what will come back, and it's also in reverse. So I might think, oh, I love that, but then I pull it off and it's the opposite, and it takes on a life of its own and sometimes a new meaning. So
I understand you grew up in Alaska and spent a lot of time on farms and in gardens. It seems that had a big influence
yeah.
on you.
Yeah, so I grew up in Alaska. My grandparents homesteaded in Anchorage, and they had a huge property, 200 acres. They had a creek. It was a gentleman's farm, so they had a very big garden. They raised Highland cattle, and so when we would go there every Sunday for dinner, there was always something going on, and it was very adventurous. And growing up there, it's big and it's very raw, very wild. The attitude is unlike any other place I've ever been. I look forward to going to maybe Australia one day, because I feel like that kind of attitude where, it's my way or the highway is a real thing there. And it's kind of, I see it now like, wow, I love that, because it's just very free. So.
And those are sticks of wax?
Okay, so these are, they are encaustics, and I do make my own medium, and that is beeswax tree resin that are heated together, and that's clear. And so from that you can make your own, and I have done it in the past by adding pigments, but I buy mine from R&F Paints, and they come in big blocks like this, all different colors. And my palette is very limited, really. Like you can get any color you want, but it's very limited and unplanned. And I really use just whatever I have available, and then from those colors I create my own palette. Okay, so I want to just show you really quickly. So there's a smooth side and a rough side to this paper. So I'm going to use the smooth side, and okay, I'm gonna go this way. All right. I use this Japanese brayer. Sometimes I am too far away from my work table, and I end up using my hands, and I burn myself a lot. Okay, so this is what came out of this, and I am going to keep going with watercolor and pastel. I'm probably going to do a few more prints on here to create something more layered, and something where you can visually, your eye is traveling through the piece. But this is a start. And then if I really love the feeling of the shapes, I might turn my paper over in reverse and do the mirror image. And I was just thinking, the photographs that I took from Bloedel, I'm really fascinated with water and reflection, and all the photographs are a mirror image of the trees above. when you have the camera, it's like, it's really a glimpse of what you're seeing, because when you're out in nature, sometimes it's too big. You know, you don't see it really. You feel it, but with the camera, I'm able to like really hone in, and I love that because the images that I took, they're like you know, abstract paintings, which resonates with me. I used to only paint in black and white and completely monochromatically. So all of this work is very new for me. And so it's sort of like sometimes you have to go too far and then you come back to find the balance that you need. So are there any questions? So I think it's a Japanese paper, and I don't know, I got it a long time ago. It's really amazing because it's like fabric. It's thick and soft, and I absolutely love it. I get a lot of paper from Japan. I source it all over. And I have a whole bunch of different, this is a different kind than this. Yeah.
What drew you to encaustic?
It was because it's an ancient medium, and the way I understand it is that the Greeks would use the encaustic and paint the portraits of the people that had died and lay them on, I don't know if it was the coffin or, you know, the grave site, but it's for that reason that it has a lot of history to it, but also because it's natural. And so knowing that bees made it and that I'm working with that energy, to me is very powerful. And so, you know, it's part of like having a garden. It doesn't matter if it's it doesn't matter what kind of garden it is, but the idea that if it's a vegetable garden and you're eating the leaves and the greens and the fruits, knowing that they were growing outside under the stars and the sun and the moon, like, and all that energy, and then the bees and the birds coming in and out, like the energy to me is fascinating and visceral and just really awe-inspiring to me. So, yeah.
You mentioned that you've colored some of your own encaustic, and have you also created your own paints and pigments?
So I haven't made too much encaustic paint, but I also work with mineral pigments and oil paint. So I make my own oil paint with walnut oil and mineral pigments. Many of them are from France, a lot are from Japan. And there's another technique. I'm really into all of these ancient techniques, but and anything natural. So all of the mediums I work with are natural, and yeah.
Do you get nervous about messing up? I the free form of it.
I honestly never get nervous about making a mistake. The way I think about it, it's more, what is my intention? When I work alone. Like, it would be very hard for me to try and create something with viewers. Like, but when I work alone, I play loud music, which might be very surprising. I wanted to play music here. I wanted to have, like, you know, the dance party happening. But I thought, oh, okay, maybe not. Too much sharing. But if I work, and I do not work all day in my studio. I work for maybe, it could be anywhere from like 20 minutes to 2 hours, but honestly 2 hours is my limit. And that's where I make the mistake. If there's one to be made, it's because I'm like, it's overstimulating. I've done what I needed to do and I need to move on. I go for a walk, I go do something else, I go cook, whatever. Yeah. It's more like, it's not a mistake. I've forced it. It's overdone. Yeah.
Can you talk about your colors a bit more? I mean, they're very gentle and soothing.
They are? No. Did you see this one?
In my perspective, that fits within that realm of description.
Yeah.
For me. But then I see a splash of gold.
Mm-hmm.
So what is...
Oh, well, I'll tell you about the gold. I practice yoga. I have since I was 18. And I have a wonderful teacher. And she says, you know, something that I believe she learned from her teacher or mentor, that you are golden, you are great. And that, I think about that every day. I started wearing gold. I never take it off. It makes me feel connected to the universe. And so for this exhibit, it was really important for me to not be afraid of expressing that, sharing that, and showing that. Colors are, for me, they were very, very intense. A lot of them, I know a lot are very, very earthy. When I was working outside in the summer, I had roses and peonies and things that were really, really vibrant. And so some of those pieces came from that, just really visually, you know, immersing myself out there. And then as I continued through autumn, it's like living with the seasons, right? I allowed myself to just shift. It wasn't something I thought of, it just happened. And so then I started going towards the more earthy tones, and then some of them had water, the ocean, which I love. I used to live in Southern California, and that's where I raised my kids. I take them to the beach like every other day. So visually, even though I no longer live there, I think of the waves going in and out. I think of the tide pools going in and out. You know, what was revealed below the surface of the water, and this is where I'm going now with, like, I still love these colors. I love the contrast. I love contrast, but I also love, you know, softness and roses and femininity, and so I'm weaving it all together, and I'm weaving in, you know, my life to the work in a way.
Can you talk about any differences in process between, like, what you showed us, basically printing with encaustic on paper, as opposed to your panel pieces? Are you?
Okay, so I have another plate. It's an aluminum plate, And I would love one that's like as big as this table, but it's basically the same thing, but I have pots of encaustic sitting on it. And so it's totally melted. And what I do is I have tons of brushes. These are just Japanese brushes, and I have big widths, tiny ones, big ones. I am not a neat artist. Like if you come look at my box, this is truly how I work. But anyways, I dip it in, and with the encaustic, I work flat. Sometimes I work up, mostly flat. So I'll dip it in, I'll put it on, depending on the temperature of the air. It'll go on very thick if it's cooler, and if it's in the summer and it's hot, it just is very thin. And the example for the thin is behind you, that piece. That piece really only has maybe 3 to 5 layers, I'm not sure, but the white is one layer, and it was hot at that time. And then there's others like this one. When it becomes very thick, like textured, it means that it went on colder. And then I take a heat gun and I reheat it. And I can reheat it to completely smooth, or many times I leave a lot of the texture, but you heat it so that it adheres to your surface.
So a panel like that, would that mean several different applications or just one process?
Okay, so it's going to be lots of brush strokes to cover the panel. Once I cover it, I have to take the heat gun and maybe melt it together. I like lines. I love lines. So a lot of times I leave. I don't want it smooth. I don't know. There's different. And then I'll choose maybe different colors. I'll keep going. It's very layered. It's pretty fast though. Not that I can do a painting, quickly, but the process is very fast. You can't take your brush and deliberate. You just do it. And I really like that about that. This medium. Okay, well.
I have I don't know if it's a comment or a question. I'm just curious. The more I sit and look around, there's like a feeling of like timelessness. Of like, I don't know if it's the colors. Like looking at like it's sort of free of time. It looks sort of ancient but also modern at the same time. And I was wondering if that's just me, my perception, or if there's something that's happening in your process that I'm just curious about, time and timelessness, or that makes it like it just it makes it sort of accessible.
I love that idea a lot. I think maybe the way I'm thinking about it is, that time is fleeting and nature changes. So these pieces were a moment in time. And whatever was coming through me, I feel like I'm just, the vessel in a way. is like being recorded. And I used to draw very detailed drawings of trees and branches, and very detailed, like botanical, and then do the encaustic over that. And so now and then I went to very abstract, black and white, very abstract shapes, no reference to nature really. And now I'm combining those two, and I want to show or reveal the essence. Well, thank you.
Please stop in to see Flora and Fauna, our exhibition for January featuring Marcel DeLacy and Danis Morgan from January 5th through February 11th.